Hey y'all, thanks for following along for this amazing summer league journey and see y'all in October. Go Hawks.
Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Atlanta Hawks episode. And it's the end of the summer league, guys. So you know what's coming. Summer league wrap up, looking at some of the Hawks that are looking to make the team, and also the draft class, seeing how they did in summer league ball. Hawks finished 3-2 in summer league play as a whole. Saw some really good stuff from everybody, really, and we're gonna break that down today. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Kobe Buffkin, first pick the Hawks made in the draft this year. You know, you saw a lot of good. You saw a lot of things that need to be improved. He had a very up and down shooting night. Shooting games. You know, he had better games where he shot better and other games where he didn't shot as well. Had some turnovers. That's something obviously that needs to be cleaned up and worked on. And that's something that I'm sure will be tried to be addressed. I'm sure, obviously, Summer League coach, also Quinn, guys like that, they'll look into it. I know right now he's in trade rumors for Pascal Siakam, but we'll still but right now we're going to still assume he will be on the team when training camp comes around in a couple of months. And so overall, I think for him, the biggest thing I've seen from him is that he's aggressive. And that's what you want to see from your guys. You want aggressiveness. You don't want them to play hesitant. You don't want them to play scared. You don't want them to play without, that certainty and that belief in their own game. And I think that's the way that Kobe plays. He plays with a lot of confidence. And I think that's what helped him, improve so much at Michigan. And I think that will help him improve in the game today in the league, and just trying to continue to work on things that, he struggled with, and then things that he, did well, and just continue to be added to that. I think that's the part of Summer League that we sometimes underestimate, is that Summer League is a time to see what guys are working with. They're playing against some guys who have been in the league, other top rookies, other guys who are trying to make teams in their second, third, fourth year. So they're playing against more NBA talent, even if it's not top level NBA talent. But if you can see some things that you can like, and then you can work for that, I think you'll be in a good place. And I think that's what Kobe showed. Like I said, I like his confidence. I think the thing is too, with young players, you gotta let them make mistakes and you gotta let them grow. And I think Kobe's a prime example of that. Obviously he needs to get a little bit stronger. That's something I think I noticed a couple of some screens when he would get picked, he would kind of get blown off the ball a little bit. Just, as part of just, getting in, nutrition program, getting in the weight room, that stuff that will improve over time in the league. That's the one thing about these kids too. A lot of these kids, the bodies sometimes are not developed coming out of college. And so they're going to need this nutrition program. They're going to need the weight training. They're going to need all the things that come with an NBA team to really get their body right. So then in those future situations, they won't have to deal with that. And I think that's something that Kobe will obviously work on and try to get better at, and just try to improve across the board. And like I said, for him on this current team, he's going to be the third point guard. So it's not like he's expected to play 20, 25 minutes a game and contribute big. Obviously, if DeJounte or Trey has an injury and sits out a game, that's going to happen this season, then he'll obviously get more run in that situation. Or if they want to go with Patty Mills, who's still on the roster, that could potentially be it. But if he truly is the number 3 guy, he could be the guy who they give that run to, and it'll be a good chance for him to see him against live NBA talent, against guys who, obviously are established in the game, and see how he stacks up against them. So I think coming out of it, Kobe, for me, there's a lot of things to work on, but there's a lot of things that he did well. I saw some very encouraging things, and I continue to think that, he'll continue to just get better. I mean, he had a game winner in the summer league as well. So obviously he kind of showed a little bit of a clutch feat, I guess you could say. And, he also showed some good passing, some good playmaking as well. Also some defense. So, it's one of those things where you kind of, if you're the Hawks, you kind of see where he is and just kind of know, okay, this is what we got to work on going into the season, part of his development plan, and for him to get better, maybe become a bigger contributor down the line in future years to come. So then we get to the next guy, and a guy who I think a lot of people are excited about, Mouhamed Gueye. Listen, he hasn't played basketball that long. I think it's only been 4 or 5 years. No, I don't want to give a number. I don't want to be wrong, but he has not played basketball that long. And when you see his game, there's a lot to be impressed with. He can shoot the 3. You can see on a couple of block shots the athleticism. You can see just, his fluidity in his game. It's one of those things where it's like he has a lot of potential. Like, it's interesting because he was the last pick, but he was signed to a full NBA deal, and Seth Lundy was signed to a 2-way. When you're signed to a full NBA deal, that probably means he'll probably be on the main roster for the Hawks. obviously, again, he probably won't. I mean, we have to see how trades go and see what happens and see how the team changes and everything. But he's going to be a guy who I could definitely see Quinn Snyder giving some run just to see how he does. Just, like he did last year, where he would sometimes give Vic or he would sometimes give Garrison some minutes, and everybody felt it was random. Like, why are they playing now? I feel like he may be someone he plays in that situation just to see how he plays against, again, NBA talent. I mean, he showed a lot of potential, and a guy that I think a lot of Hawks fans are excited about in his future progression, his future development moving forward because of what he has shown. Because he's shown a lot of good things. He showed a lot of flashes. I mean, you could say a lot of the time during the summer league, he was maybe the Hawks' best player on the floor. And that's big, to say that, because, I mean, clearly the team is high on him. Clearly, I think the fan base is getting high on him, and I think that will lead to him getting opportunities down the line. I think, obviously, there's some things he needs to work on still. I mean, like I said, he hasn't played the game that long. It's just sometimes experience is a big thing that he just has to get. Also, at the same time, with experience, he has to also still have to improve the jumper. Got to improve, shooting off the dribble, things like that. Those are all things that are just going to come with it. Again, he also has to work on his body. He's athletic, but he's a little thin. He's a little, so, a little light in the backside. So, guy, same thing, get into the nutrition program, get into the weight room, get his body built right, continue to learn playing the game, continue to develop, and Muhammad could really be a really, really good player in a couple of years. Like, he gives you that vibe. Like, he could be a second round steal for the Hawks, where he depending on what happens with his team moving forward, he may be a big contributor in a couple of years based off his play, if he continues on the trajectory that it seems like he could be headed on. And that's big to get that from your last pick of your draft in the second round, a guy who could potentially be a starter in that position. Because like I said, in the NBA, any guy potentially could show out and play well and show that they belong. So I believe Muhammad's trying to show the people that, hey, I could also be that next second round pick who could make a statement, could make a name for myself, and potentially play a big role down the stretch. Don't be surprised if you see him occasionally this year get some minutes with the Hawks if injuries happen, or if Quinn, like I said, just maybe wants to experiment and just get him some run out there just to see how he does against other NBA talent. And then we get to Seth. So initially at the beginning, I feel like Seth wasn't really playing a lot of minutes in the first couple of games, but in the last three, he really picked it up, and you really saw his shooting. I mean, that's the main thing about Seth that has always been there, is his shooting prowess. He's always been a really good three-point shooter, a guy who shot 40% in college. He's been working with Kyle Korver since joining the Hawks, one of the best three-point shooters in history of the NBA, and now you saw it. I mean, he's shooting from deep, hitting threes, and, Seth, obviously, we'll see if he can develop his game into more offensively developed and obviously defensively. But I mean, ultimately, if you can shoot, you have a chance. Quinn Snyder loves shooting, and Seth could shoot the lights out. So again, he's a guy who you'll probably see him, I would think, maybe the most out of all three rookies in the G League this year. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he balls out in the G League. A guy who, like I said, is a three-point specialist. But again, injuries happen. We'll see with trades and things like that. Maybe potentially he will get some games on the main NBA roster, maybe down the line. Again, a guy who, we have a lot of guards right now, so it's hard to kind of project what his role may be for this team moving forward. I made a comment with when they drafted him in the draft video that potentially he could be Bogdanovic's replacement. Whenever that time comes, when Bogdanovich and the Hawks are ready to part ways, maybe Seth Lundy will be the guy to step into that role and be the new three-point shooter for this team. And like I said, from what I saw in the summer league and what you've been seeing on your screen, he can shoot it. And I think that's what you want to see from a guy like that, and just, continue to work on other parts of his game, and just, maybe, okay, he's a shooter. Maybe he wants to come back with a floater next year. Maybe he wants to come back more of a mid-range game. Maybe he wants to come back maybe more dedicated, maybe more disruptive on defense. These are all things that, again, part of the development plan for him. Just, what do you want to add to your game next? We know you can shoot. Add something else. Make yourself more dangerous. Make yourself more of a threat. So then, when the next summer league comes around, then, maybe next year he'll be one of the guys maybe fighting for a rotation spot potentially next year if he improves enough, and in the coaches and in the front office feels enough confidence in his development moving forward. So, I'm really excited for Seth. Like I said, he can shoot the lights out, and that's what you want. And, that's been big. So, and then another guy Tyrese Martin, last year's second round pick, started off summer league slow, didn't really have a great game, but he picked it up, had a couple 20-point games during this summer league circuit run. And, they've been saying him and Vic Krejci have been like battling for maybe potentially the final spot on the Hawks that's left. And listen, out of the summer league, both did some good things well. Both have played, did what within their role, what they expect. But Tyrese, to me, has always been a guy, because he actually played well in summer league last year. If people don't remember, he's just a hard worker to me. Like, his game is not flashy at all, but he'll end up and you'll look up and he'll have like 18 or he'll have 20. And you're like, oh, like Tyrese works hard on every possession, defensively and offensively. And he's a guy who, he isn't the greatest shooter. He's not the greatest defender. He's just a basketball player, a guy who knows ball and plays ball. And so personally, again, with the way this roster is constructed, it's going to be hard for him to see playing time. But I think one thing that's going to give him the advantage over Vic is just Vic is considered more of a point guard, shooting guard, where Tyrese is considered more of a shooting guard, small forward. And if, like I said, the Hawks move DeAndre Hunter and they move, some other guys, you may need that third small forward potentially open, and then he may be able to fit into that slot. Or, where Vic, he's like, if he's gonna play point, I mean, you got Kobe, you got Patty, you got DeJounte, and you got Trey. So it's really hard for him to play there. I mean, shooting guard, I guess, could be where he goes. But I've also always said to people that I think the Hawks view AJ as a backup too. So, I mean, realistically, with the way their lineup is, DeJounte's playing 2, then Bogey's coming in at 2, and then AJ would be that third 2 if needed. It's going to be hard to see him make the roster. But I also think, again, he's a guy who has played well. He played last year during the regular season, a couple appearances, and he's just a guy. He's tall. He's like a lengthy guard, so he can definitely contest shots and do some good things well for him. But, like I said, Tyrese, I think out of the two of them, probably made the strongest impression on me, at least. And I think he deserves to get that opportunity to be on the Hawks again this coming training camp and going into the preseason, and be a full-time roster guy. But like I said, we'll have to see what the front office thinks as they make any other roster decisions. Like I said, they're making calls on the phone with other teams. Trades could dramatically impact what this team construction looks like. That in and of itself, if they make certain trades, could guarantee Tyrese and Vic playing time on this team, and then help them, be able to be contributors potentially in the lineup again, depending on situations. So overall, I mean, I think, saw a lot of good things from the summer league. I want to give a shout out to Brady Manick, especially in that first game. Went crazy from 3. Guy, listen, he may look like your typical YMCA basketball player, but he could shoot lights out too. And when you can shoot, you have a spot in this league, especially that's so shooting dominant now. If not, again, and then here's the thing too, guys like Brady, guys like everybody else. One thing we got to remember is like these guys are not just trying out for the Hawks. The guys who were added that are outside of the draft picks, or guys who were on the roster before, these guys are also competing and actually trying to showcase their talents to 29 other teams. So they're just trying to show teams that they deserve a look, they deserve an opportunity, and they're hoping that the performances that they've put out in summer league will potentially get them to that point. But overall, I think, saw some good things from the guys in the draft class this year for the Hawks. I mean, that's really all you really want to see. It's just that improvement, just seeing their games against other talent, and then just trying to build on that. And then it'll be interesting to see their development going into the season, going into training camp, and just seeing what their projections are within the rotation, or just within the team in general. Right now, every rookie you may say is not set up on this team currently to play a big role this year. But like I said, with Hawks and trade talks and things like that, we don't know what this final product will look like. But everybody showed something that you can look at and say, that's good. We can work with that. And now at this point, listen, one thing they wanted to do when they brought in Quinn Snyder, and Quinn Snyder brought his guys in for coaching, is they wanted to develop. They want development to be a key priority for this organization once again, and they want to be able to develop guys. And they got 3 guys, I think, that have some skills that are really good, and then they can develop other parts and maybe potentially make them better players that can play big potential roles down the line for the Atlanta Hawks. But, like I said, it was a good summer league circuit. Before I let you guys go, though, I have a big announcement coming soon. I got something in the works for you guys, for all my Hawks fans. Obviously, Falcons training camp's coming up, so I'll have Falcons training camp coverage. But for Hawks fans, I got something that I think y'all are gonna really like. That hopefully I'm trying to get maybe up by August potentially, and just provide more content for you guys, more Hawks content, long form content that y'all can enjoy as we get closer to the season for them as well. So excited for that. I'll let you guys know details when we get there. But that's all I got for you guys. Your boy Bryce Lewis signing out.